ahead of this Veterans Day this weekend, we're learning a little bit more about the support that USA Cares is giving to veterans and their families. Joining me today here in studio is someone who understands that transition out of the military all too well. It's President and CEO of USA Cares, Trace Chesser. Trace, thanks for joining us as we celebrate Veterans Day.
No, thank you so much.
And we celebrate all the services that you all are doing, and
Yes.
you're really immersed in it. I mean, for people that may not be familiar, kind of give an overview of what all USA Cares does.
Well, first I have to say happy birthday to the Marine Corps. Today
Yes.
is their birthday, so if I didn't do that, I have a lot of friends upset
Oh,
at
they
me.
would come after you.
Yeah, so, you know, USA Cares has been around 20 years.
Wow.
Started right in this area and, you know, was outside of Fort Knox for a long time, but moved into the Louisville area off Blankenbecker just a few years ago. And around that time, I joined USA Cares and decided to try to help. Transition can be difficult, but we've been doing the same thing, the same mission for 20 years, you know, providing that emergency financial assistance when they're going through a tough time. And so, you know, we do that. We give them some training, try to help them get ready for the workforce. We do financial literacy training. It's just really, we want to try to get them back on their feet and try to help stop those emergency situations that spiral out of control. Transition is difficult.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Transition is tough, and that first transition, right out of the military back into life here, can probably be one of the toughest. And to know that you all are there from the get-go provides kind of that cushion, kind of like how are you there to help them, and what challenges do veterans face in that first transition out of the military?
So I like to tell people, you know, when you go into the military, you are going into an organization that has an extensive training and indoctrination program. And so they spend months and months, no matter what branch, months training you and getting you used to it and getting you in there. But at the end, and listen,
there's no training to get you out.
You know, there's some, but it's not enough, and you can't really apply it until you're out, and then you're out. So, I mean, it's what we see a lot of is service members that get out and they can't explain to employers what they did in the military and the value that they bring. And so that's really
those
tough.
Transferable skills that
Yes.
you're thinking, wow, what you did is so valuable. If I could only explain it and transfer it to this workplace environment, right?
Exactly.
Especially the leadership skills
Yeah.
alone, my goodness. The
Yeah.
ability to get things done on deadline, the ability to juggle multiple things.
Yeah.
You're kind of rewording it for them in a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
My transition was very difficult. I had a great career with U.S. Army, got to do a lot of amazing things, truly enjoyed it, and it helped to develop who I am today.
Yeah.
And so when I went through and did that, I hit a point to where I was medically separated, and so medically retired. And then suddenly, I'm home, and I don't have the support systems, and I don't have all the friends, and I had a really tough time myself. And so that's why I'm pretty passionate about this. And I've watched hundreds of service members. Some of them, like me, had a career in it, and some only had 2 or 3 years. And so it's difficult for each one because, you know.
And isn't everybody's transition a little bit different? Like you can't account for what you went through while you were serving. What did you witness? What trauma did you go through? There is no one size training fits all to transition out of, because you can't account for how everybody feels when they come back.
You really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's experience is different. And the support systems that they have or may not have when they come home, it's different as well. And so, you know, that's probably the biggest thing I want everyone to know about USA Cares, is we do a lot of amazing things. But at the core of it, we're providing services that help the service member, the veteran, their family, help to improve their quality of life and try to help them, you know, get into a meaningful sense of purpose and reduce factors that can contribute to veteran suicide, because veteran suicide is a major issue.
Yeah. Well, you understand from a certain specific personal connection, and USA Cares understands, right? And so you're like that warm hug, right?
Yeah.
That, hey man, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be wonderful. Do you think too that you kind of found this new passion and purpose when you found USA Cares? Like for you, that probably helped you with your transition. That, oh my goodness, this is what I was meant to do post service.
It really is. I was a little nervous. I was going to leave something that I had built, a small company with a friend of mine, and go to USA Cares to try to help there. And that was quite a jump.
Yeah.
To go and do that. And I realized it provided me that sense of purpose. And we help hundreds upon hundreds of veterans a year.
Yeah.
I mean, actually 1,000 this year. And it's so important to keep them and their families together, because I know when I went through that transition, if I didn't have my family, I may not be here today.
Well, we are excited to learn a little bit more about the specific services. And so if you know veterans out there, or maybe you're a veteran, you'll be able to kind of listen and say, oh, maybe that's a fit. We need to reach out to USA Cares for a family member or a friend or a loved one. So we're going to kind of unpack all the different services they offer. So stick around, don't go far. If you would like to learn more about USA Cares, just go to usacares.org. And like we said, coming back, we're going to check back in with USA Cares to see how you can help them in their. Welcome back to our special Veterans Day show. Throughout the hour, we're talking kind of in depth about the great services that USA Cares offer, not only here in our region, but throughout Kentucky. USA Cares is a national nonprofit, and the work that they're doing all across the country. They work to support veterans and their families across the country. And if you are looking to help their cause, they need your help. And maybe veterans that are out there, there's so many ways to show support. Joining me right now here on the set is Anise McEwen and Rue to tell us a little.
Buried, right?
Rue, immediately, Rue, you're on TV.
Hey.
We got to see your beautiful face.
She found
Boy,
a
she
scent.
found something to smell.
Yeah.
And she'll come up for air in just a second. Right? Rue has had a very calming way of kind of nurturing us here on the set, and that's the whole point. I know we're going to talk a little bit about all the different ways. There you go. There's that beautiful face. Yes. All the different ways that people can reach out and support you all right now. But tell us a little bit about Rue and Rue's role with USA Cares. Probably has her own office and business cards.
It's her whole building,
world.
according to Rue, probably. No, she's a psychiatric service dog, which a lot of people, it's kind of a newer type of service dog, but a lot of veterans use them for their anxiety, PTSD, things like that. And just goes to show you how many resources are out there for veterans for what they're dealing with. But Rue is kind of just what we call our unofficial mascot at USA Cares. A lot of people, as you know, you can imagine, want to see Rue, meet her, and then we have an opportunity to share what we do when we introduce Rue to the public.
Oh, absolutely. And so Rue gets to go to a lot of the events that are outward facing for USA Cares, which is wonderful.
Yes.
Like it just suddenly, I don't know, it just kind of, for me, the minute you all came up here, it just kind of breaks down walls.
Yes.
And can you imagine, I'm sure you see it every day, like what it does with a veteran.
Yes.
That maybe they're able to share more about what they need.
Right, and they have a commonality, you know,
Yeah.
something that's safe for a lot of people that she's able to connect with. So she's a wonderful asset for us.
Sure
and
is.
you know, I'm a little biased, but I think she's a pretty good dog.
Rue's
so.
taking a nap down there. Well, you guys are looking for ways, there's so many ways to support what you all do, right? And I guess the first that we want to tackle is just the basic donation. You can just accept donations from people.
Yeah, the biggest need we have, what we do is we give out money to the WHO veterans in crisis and need, and you know what we need to do that is donations, and the cost to do these things is rising. You know, everybody knows the housing market, the rental market is kind of bananas, and obviously veterans are not an exception to that. So we need those donations to come in, and everyone can do their part in helping to do those donations online, mail in, you can drop it by our offices. Those make a huge difference, but some people aren't able to do it that way and help us in that way. And other ways that we are allowed to you know, use people for our mission is volunteer work. We have chapters, including one here in Louisville, that put on events that raise money. So you may not be able to from your own pocket give to us, but you may be able to help us in those events and give to us in that way. And then, you know, we always encourage people to word of mouth, share what we do. You know, we live in a community here in Louisville, but all over the country that really want to take care of our service members and our veterans and want to give back. and a lot of people just don't know how or don't know ways that they can. So sharing who we are, what we do, a lot of people can get on board pretty easily, but they just need to know that who we are and what we do.
Who you are, and be able to explain that to people. Are there ways too, when you have these events, to be a sponsor for an event? Say can't get there, but you know what? If you need somebody to underwrite this event, we can do it.
Yes, we partner with a lot of great organizations here locally and then all over the country, and we're really only able to do what we do because of, for example, the CKE restaurants, Hardee's and Carl's Jr. have been a tremendous sponsor. We have a yearly campaign with them called Stars for Heroes. But companies like that, not only get their employees involved, but their entire team, and then they encourage their customers, or, we have several banks that use give back programs with people who bank with them. So we are always looking for companies who are looking for ways to take care of our veterans, our service members, and their families, and we have plenty of opportunity to do that.
It must help too that you all are there's trust associated with your name. Right, and you must have these sponsors that come back again and again and again because they know that you're a top-rated charity, right? That must go a long way in knowing they know how you all are helping and they know where the money is going.
Yeah. We proudly boast a perfect score from Charity Navigator, which is kind of the overall nonprofit rater, web rater for all charities that are in the U.S. And this goes through financials, it goes through transparency, it goes through how we use our money, if we're doing what we're saying we're doing, if the money is actually going to the veterans and their families, how much we're allotting for, marketing purposes, overhead, things like that. And so we're very proud that we take the maximum amount we can and put it back into our services and our programs. So when people give to us, they're actually giving to veterans. They're not giving to an organization. They're giving to where they intend it to go. And we want people to know that they can trust their donation and their generosity to be used in a morally sound way, and we're very proud of that. And not only Charity Navigator, we've been rated highly on several other organizations that review IRS and 501Cs, and so that's a priority for us, that our donors and our supporters trust us, and we'll continue to do that as we grow.
Well, Anise, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for bringing Rue.
Absolutely.
Rue calmed us all down today. Rue did her job, even with everybody here in the studio. But thank you for all the great work that you're doing. Rue's taking a nap. If you would like to support their mission, they're seeking sponsors, help at events, or maybe just a donation to help them get that donation to the veterans that need it. All you have to do is head on over to usacares.org to get started. Stay with us. Welcome back to Great Day Live. Our hour here, we are focusing on Veterans Day events that are happening all across Louisville and Kentucky, and a big focus here on USA Cares and the work that they do. We are joined once again by USA Cares President and CEO, Trace Chesser. We're going to talk now a little bit, Trace, about the need for the services that are provided by the organization. You've really kind of created a number of them. You're listening to the needs that are coming in. Tell us about those.
So primarily, the biggest thing we do is we have a case management center, and we'll get about 100 to 120 applications per week from all over the country.
Oh my goodness.
And they're saying things like, hey, because of my disabilities, I'm having a problem working. Now my landlord's about to evict me. And that's pretty common. We hear that quite often. Over 70% of our veterans that we work with have children. So we find out all these things through this application process, and so it starts to branch out into other needs. But the primary thing that we're doing is we're stopping evictions, stopping foreclosures, keeping families together. Yeah. Maybe turn on utilities or something like that in addition. But it takes about $4,000 per family, because you don't get an eviction letter if you're 1 month behind. You're several months behind. And so that's probably the biggest thing that we do. And it's the most important to me, because if you don't keep those families together and a veteran is off on their own because they had to send the kids to go live with someone else, that is the point when suicide is the highest.
Right. And trying to avoid that and get in to keep that family together. From the time that you receive that application, how long would you say you work with a veteran? Like you said, the eviction notice is because one thing has been piling up for a while. So on average, from the time you get that application, you could be with that family for how long? How long do you see everything through?
I think it's one of the reasons that so many other nonprofits tell veterans to call us, is we can turn it around in, on average, 48 hours. If a veteran can give us everything we need, because we don't hand the money to the veteran,
Right.
we got to work with the landlord. We have to work with a mortgage company or a utility company, and we can turn that around really quick. While we're doing that, we're having the veteran go through financial literacy courses,
Yeah.
career transition courses to put them into a better place. And so we do follow-up surveys and just check on them.
So it could be a short-term fix to get in there, or it could be a long-term, especially when you're talking about training in financial literacy. It's
Yeah.
not just here, let's pay for this, goodbye.
No.
We care about you all staying together and what can we do to work together. What do you hear from veterans that have kind of gone through a process with you that makes you just keep going?
I've heard it so many times that if USA Cares did not do what they did, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
And I think for me, the chilling thing for me is I know they mean it. I've had friends commit suicide. We've had a veteran that was pretty close to us, used to come to the office quite a bit, but just was going through so many challenging things that couldn't deal with what all was going on, and he took his life. And so, you know, the staff has been impacted directly, like close friends. And so we know it's important, and we know that's why a lot of other nonprofits send veterans to us to help, because if we can keep them together as a family, then they're in a much better place.
Greater chance to succeed moving forward, most definitely. And to hear those encouraging words of how you help people probably keeps you all going, keeps you going so much.
That's why we do it.
Just keeps going. Do you have other things that you're working on in the near future that you want people to know about, that you all need help with?
Well, we have a new grant. USA Cares, for the first time ever, got a federal grant. And they want us to help with homeless veterans and get them back into the workforce. So that's something that we're ramping up.
Yeah.
And we're talking to a lot of employers that want to be involved. But I would say if someone knew a veteran that's homeless, and homeless could be, hey, they're sleeping in their brother's basement.
Right.
You know, they don't have a place. That's something that we're just starting up, so it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Career transition's been ongoing for us, and the local companies love us for that. We're providing them the workforce.
Right. And being able to transfer those
Exactly.
skills, these wonderful skills they've
Yes.
learned during their time now. Well, Trace, thank you so much for spending time with us and letting us understand more about the work that you're doing, because I think it opens our eyes to even the little things that the rest of us can do, right? Just to help at an event, to give the benefit of time with the event to help a veteran, because we don't know how much that will change their life.
I think the biggest thing that I want to say is people, your viewers do not realize, most of them, USA Cares is here, and it is impacting military families, veterans, all over the country, and it's all happening right here.
Right here in this area. Trace, thank you so much. Again, for more information, ways to help, to get involved, just go to usacares.org. You know, we've been spending all morning long learning a lot more about USA Cares and their support for veterans and their families. Anise McEwen is joining us once again, along with Rue, who's taken a nap since then. Maybe.
A little perkier.
A little perkier. Somebody's awake now. We're going to take a look back here, Anise, at the history of USA Cares. And honestly, I did not know it, about just the history and the length of time that you all have been kind of established in Radcliffe, Kentucky, really.
Yeah,
Right?
We're pretty proud of how we started. It was pretty humble roots. It was a group of leaders at Fort Knox that saw a need for a lot of these soldiers and service members who were coming back from, at that time, Iraq in 2001-03 after the 9/11 attacks, and who really needed some extra support financially or otherwise, and their families needed the support. So they started this with some funds that they gathered, and it kind of just grew. And in 2003, with the help of some community partnerships, including Kroger, started selling support our troops signs. And from that, they used those funds to continue. And from there, it used to be Kentuckiana Cares because they were servicing and assisting service members in Indiana, Kentucky area. And then they were realizing we were getting calls from all over the country.
Because there's probably nothing like it anywhere else.
Yes.
No wonder you started getting inundated with requests everywhere.
Right, and an organization that can give immediate, impactful, and really critical assistance when they need it was important. So as we grew, so did our need, and so we turned into USA Cares rather than Kentuckiana Cares, and turned into a 501c IRS registered nonprofit. And from there, for 20 years, we've kind of gone with the times. Obviously, at that time we were in Iraq. We, were in conflicts in Afghanistan, and now that those are behind us, more or less, we're still seeing the effects of service for those service members who were there and who served. I mean, those are the wars may be over, but the effects of them are long lasting.
Absolutely.
And we always kind of refer, saying we say is the war doesn't end when they come home. Mentally or whatever physical ailments they have affect their ability to be employed, their ability to provide for their family. And so bridging that and giving them what we call a stepping stone sometimes in those emergency needs really allows them to thrive and to get to a more healthy environment.
As you all have grown, how many states do you serve or get requests from that you can even kind of quantify so we understand like the number of requests? I know Trey said something like some unreal number of requests per week.
Yeah, we help service members, veterans in all 50 states and U.S. territories. I just spoke to a client for a story where we shared he was in Puerto Rico. And he had to move his family, and he was in the Air Force. And a lot of times what we see too is, unfortunately, VA benefits, disability benefits, they take a while, and those don't always come in right as they've left the service. It may take a few months, or in some cases several months, and they just don't have the income or the savings to withstand that with their family. So we help all over, but you can imagine when we have calls from California, those rental prices, those housing prices are huge. So what it may take to keep a family in Kentucky in their home, while significant, could be double in California or Florida or some of those other states. So as we continue to see more and more applicants in our system who are asking for assistance, the price and the price tag to help them is continuing to grow. Just last year we said, on average, to keep a family in their home, keep their utilities on, give them food, that was about $5,000. It's now $6,000, and that's just within a year.
Yeah.
So at the rate we're going, we're needing quite a lot more money than we were 5-10 years ago.
So what is the process if somebody wants to, they're watching and they think, I need to get a veteran to your path, right? Do you just begin an application online? Is that the best way to go about it?
Yeah, most of our applicants are either find us online, or in a lot of cases they're referred to us by other organizations. And they come to us, they fill out an application. We have a pretty rigorous process to verify their service, and then to verify their need. And then one thing that a lot of people find important is that we work directly with the owed parties. We don't give the money to the veterans directly. If they're behind on rent, we work with their landlords. We work with the utility companies and things like that. So we know that the money and the need is real.
Well, Anise and Ruth, thank you all so much. And thank you for spending the hour kind of just explaining everything to us. And we want to get the word out. Number one, if you know a veteran that needs help, to go to the website to get help. But also, they need your financial support as well. This is a great time to get involved with their programs and to donate. Just go to usacares.org.